ahead and grab out your packets, and you can open up to session 2. It's called Art Check. All right. Have you guys ever met someone, and right away when you met them, you had like a certain view of them? Like you automatically, maybe you saw them and you're like, they're athletic. Or you saw them right away, you're like, oh, they're popular. Just right away when you saw them, there was just something about them, and you just automatically felt like you knew something about them. Whether it was right or wrong, you automatically had some ideas, right? What about, have you ever gone into a situation feeling like you know exactly what it's going to be like? You're like, I've been to Camp Concito, like 5 years in a row. I know what it's going to be like. You just have this idea that you know, like you're going to get what you're expecting. Well, when I was in high school, there was a family that I babysat for, and I babysat them for a lot. I was really close to their family. They had 3 kids. Youngest was a boy, and then 2 older girls. And I babysat them for a lot, and I was really close to the family. I think I already said that. And I love these kids. They were super fun. They were super easy to babysit. We got along really well. I knew them really well because we spent so much time together. And so after I graduated high school, I was in college, and their parents called me, and they were like, hey, will you come stay a week with our kids? Well, they go on vacation for their anniversary. And I was like, oh, yeah, like I'd love to. I love their kids. They were a little bit older now, so a little bit easier to take care of because it had been a few years because I was in college, and I was like, no big deal. Like, this is going to be a super easy, fun week, a great way to make money. It was the beginning of my summer. I had just finished my semester in college, and it was their last week of school. They were in elementary school. And so I went down there completely expecting a fun, easy week. And let me tell you, it was far from fun and easy. These kids who I knew so well and were such good kids, and I still think they are such good kids, we had a terrible week. And when I say terrible, like, I don't even think that explains it. I have so many stories from things that happened that week, but I'm just going to share a couple of them with you. The first one is, the youngest, he's a boy. His name's Lucas. And something I might add is, the week before, I think it was like the week before I came, they had gotten a new puppy, okay? And this was an adorable, cute puppy, but it pooped in the house all the time. And so I had to pick up dog poop all the time. But anyway, so Lucas, he's super cute, super fun, but super ornery, okay? So his sister Maya was playing the PlayStation one day. And about every 5 minutes, Lucas would go and unplug the cords because he wanted to play the PlayStation and she wasn't letting him play. So he had done this a few times, and I said, Lucas, if you unplug the cords one more time, you're going to your room. A couple minutes later, Mary, unplug the cords, or whatever. So I'm like, Lucas, go in your room. So I put him in his room, and he began to pound on the walls so hard that the pictures in the living room fell off the wall. No joke. He was banging and screaming in on the walls. And I was like, okay, Lucas, if you don't stop screaming, you are going to stay in your room all night. Like, you're not coming back out. So I go out, and he's silent. I'm like, oh, finally, he's learning a lesson. Right? A couple minutes later, I go in his room. The cute, adorable little puppy had pooped in his room, and he had taken a water gun full of water, poured the water on the poop, and smeared the poop all over his floor. I was like, are you kidding me? This kid is insane. No joke. He had poop all over himself, all over the floor, and on his bed. It was disgusting. So, needless to say, I made him clean it up, and I was like, this week is terrible. This was like day 3 after all these different events had already happened. This happened. Then one more story from that week. It was their last day of school. So what I would do in the morning is I'd wake up, I'd get them ready for school. I got to drive their parents had a Jeep, a really nice Jeep, and I got to drive it, and so it was awesome. And so I would drive their kids to school, and I would still be wearing my pajamas because I would go back home and I would go to sleep. Because it was my summer break. So, the last day of school, Lucas, he's a little kid, right? I take them to school, and the Jeep that they have is one of the newer Jeeps, and it has like a third row, but there's no door to the third row. Like, you have to like either put the seat down or climb over the seat. So he's gone back to the third row, and when we pulled up in the little like drop-off line with lots of mommies and daddies with their kids in the line, he refuses to get out of the car. I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I was like, Lucas, you have to go to school. This is your last day of school. And he's like, I'm not getting out of the car, or whatever. So I pull him over the seat. Okay, meanwhile, there is a line of cars watching this happen because they're trying to get around me. And I'm like so embarrassed. He's kicking and screaming, and I grab him like this. I'm in my pajamas. And I carry him into the school. And he's like, let me go! It was terrible. Okay, it was so embarrassing. I was in my pajamas. There were all these people like, what is happening? I don't know if they thought I was his mother or what, but it was bad. I had to leave the car parked there, so there's like this line of cars trying to get around. Anyway, I went into that week expecting it to be easy, expecting it to be fun and great, and it was not what I expected. I had this view of it from the outside, and what it really was not good, but my view of it was good, okay? So, I think that sometimes in life, serving is the same way. When we see someone serving, when we see them doing a good thing, we automatically think, oh, that person, she's doing such a good thing. She's such a good person. She's so nice, whatever. When you're serving, the act of serving, yes, that is a good thing. But sometimes what is inside, what's going on in our hearts, is not what we see on the outside. It can be all good nice on the outside, but sometimes what's going on inside is not good. Okay? So we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to kind of talk about the fact that there are three types of servants. Okay? There's people that serve because you don't have to fill in your notes. I promise I'll go through them slowly and tell you. There's people that serve because they're forced to. There's people who serve out of selfishness, and there's people who serve out of love. Okay? So the first one we're going to look at is the first blank in your notes, and it says, those who serve because they are forced to. Sometimes people in life are put in situations where they're forced to serve. Okay? A couple examples. Slaves. They're probably not in that situation out of their own will, and they're having to serve, but it's not something they chose for themselves. Or maybe at home when your parents say clean your room or you can't go out with your friends. You didn't really choose to do that, but you're being forced to because you live in that house. That's not a bad thing, but you're still being forced to do that. Or I work at the church, and we have people come in all the time to serve community service. And they did something wrong in their lives, and they're being forced to do community service. So yes, they're serving, but it's not out of their own choice. They're serving because they have to. Okay? The second group of people are those who serve out of selfishness. It's the second blank in your notes. Those who serve out of selfishness. And I want you guys to really think about this one because I think it's a lot more common than we think that it is sometimes. It's people who serve to look good, or to get noticed, or to get thanks, or to get praise. I think it happens all the time. I think I do it sometimes. I think all of you do it sometimes. Maybe you really want to get into National Honor Society, so you do all these like community service things, you look really good on paper, but you're just doing it to get the title, to get into the group, right? You're not really doing it out of love. It's for yourself. A lot of times we just want people to acknowledge the fact that we are doing good things. We want them to be like, oh, look at her, like, she is so good, she's doing such a great job, she is such a great example. And they're like, yeah, I'm doing that, no big deal, whatever, right? We want to hear nice things about ourselves. We want to be acknowledged. Even when it's not something that's super fun to do. Even when nobody's going to notice what they're doing. Even when people aren't going to be like, hey, good job, or thanks for doing that. They're doing it to show love, to show that they care for people. Another thing is when people serve out of love, they do it with a joyful attitude. Because they're not doing it for what they can get out of it, they're doing it to show love. So they're excited to do it, they're happy to do it. They're not like, oh my gosh, I need to clean up all this chocolate cupcakes on the floor and I didn't even get to eat one, but I hope somebody notices that I'm being a really good person right now. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, like I have an opportunity, I'm going to pick this up, I don't even care if anybody sees, I'm just going to do it because I know it needs done. And they do it with a joyful attitude. Now I think sometimes we can go in between these groups pretty quick. We can start serving with a joyful spirit. We can start serving out of love. And then pretty soon we notice that other people are serving and they're getting attention. And we're like, oh, we'd really like that too. And so our motives kind of shift. Right? And we go from serving out of love to serving out of selfishness. Or maybe you're serving out of selfishness and you realize you're not getting any praise and thanks. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to keep doing it. Even though nobody notices. So it's not like you're necessarily in one group or another. We can go back and forth sometimes, and even back and forth within the same thing that we're serving. But I want you guys to think about that. What are your motives behind serving the people that you serve? Are you doing it for attention? Are you doing it for praise? Are you doing it to earn a certain title? Or do you have a certain title already that you feel like you have to live up to? Or are you doing it because you genuinely care for people? Because you genuinely want to model what Christ modeled for us. Because you genuinely love those that you're serving. It's hard. I want you guys to open up your Bibles to Philippians. It's in the New Testament. Philippians 2. We're going to just start in verse 4. We're going to start with verse 1, read to verse 4. Philippians 2, 1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alright, it says, is there any encouragement from belonging to Christ? Any comfort from His love? Any fellowship in the Spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate? Then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another and working together in one mind and purpose. Don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others, but be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. So these verses tell us that we shouldn't do anything out of selfishness. We should view others as higher than ourselves. Sometimes serving looks good on the outside, but our hearts aren't right. We have the wrong motives. So I want you guys to think about that. What are the motives behind why you're serving? Are they pure? Is it selfishness? Is it love? Are you joyful? Only you can answer those questions. It's really easy when we hear things like this to have somebody in our mind and we're like, okay, I hope that girl over there really heard what Marianne's saying because she really needs to hear it. Like, she's full of herself and I know she serves just to get attention. It's really easy to do that, right? But it's really hard to stop and take a minute and look at our own hearts. And be real with ourselves and be like, alright, I've been serving out of selfishness. What do I need to do to change that? It's hard. So, I'm going to talk about 5 practical ways to serve. And these kind of apply to youth group. And so, there are meal, they want to hang out at the party, they want to go to the camp. Everybody's willing to participate in it. But how many people are willing to stay after it's over and help clean it all up? Right? After youth group's over on Wednesdays, the high school knows it's a little better than the middle school, but the building doesn't just magically come back to how it was. Right? There's work that has to be done. The bathrooms have to be cleaned. The floor has to be vacuumed. The trash has to be taken out. For the next group that's going to use it. It's really easy to be excited about something before it happens. It's super easy to participate in it while it's happening. But it takes a little effort to stay after and be like, hey, what can I do? How can I help? How can I make this better than it was when we got here? Alright, the second thing is, notice things no one else is willing to do and step in and take action. Noticing is the first step. Did you guys get that? Noticing things no one is willing to do and step in and take action. So some of us don't even notice things that need to be done, right? Like, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but after lunch today, the trash can was full. It needed to be taken out. Most of you probably didn't even notice. You didn't think anything of it, that there were plates all over, right? So the first thing is opening our eyes and being aware of what's going on around us. What needs done? What needs cleaned up? Who needs help? The first thing is noticing. The second thing is taking action. Okay? There's a lot of things that nobody really likes to do. Nobody really likes to take out the trash. Nobody really likes to clean the toilets. Right? The girls' toilets were clogged. Nobody really likes to take care of that. But it has to be done. Somebody has to do it. So are you willing to step in when nobody else wants to do it and take action? First of all, do you notice when things need done? And second of all, are you willing to step in and just do it? Don't be like, oh, I hope the leader comes in here and cleans that up. That's a bummer that there's a spill on the floor, but I didn't do it, so I'm just going to leave. Right? That's how most of us think. It's not our issue. I'm not going to deal with it. But if you want to be a servant, you would notice it and you'd be like, okay, I'm going to take care of it. Alright, the third thing is to break down cliques. Break down cliques. Cliques happen when friendships, which are not bad, become exclusive. We were talking in my room last night about the importance of friendships and how it's so important to have friends around you that believe in the same things you believe in, that are there to encourage you, to spur you on. That is very important. It's going to help you get through middle school and high school if you have friends like that. But the problem is, when this little group of nice, encouraging friends becomes exclusive and you don't let anybody else in that group. And when you're at an event and there's lots of other people, your group's just over here like, whatever, and everybody else is out here. That's when it becomes a problem, right? Because people feel left out. People don't feel accepted. That's a problem. So, I'm not saying that it's wrong to have best friends. But here's what you need to do. You need to talk to your friends. You need to be open about this fact that you could become a clique. And you need to talk about the fact that, okay, it's good for us to hang out, just us sometimes. So plan some times when just you guys can hang out. Maybe it's at your house, maybe you go do something, whatever. But then agree on the fact that maybe while you're at youth group, you're going to talk to other people. You're going to include other people. That doesn't mean like, if I don't stand next to my best friend, we're not best friends anymore. Right? We can stand next to other people. We can talk to other people. And not be jealous. I know how that is as a girl. If I would talk to another friends, it's comfortable, it's easy, doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It takes effort, though, to recognize that you're doing that and be willing to break away. Have your time with your friends, but be willing to break away. The fourth thing is, look for people who are new and go out of your way to get them involved. Look for people who are new and go out of your way to get them involved. This kind of goes to the click thing, but it's a little bit different. I've lived in 13 houses in my life. I've moved a lot. Growing up, I was always the new girl. I went to a whole lot of schools. I made a whole lot of new friends. And I know that feeling. When you're going into youth group, or you're going into the lunchroom, or you're going out to recess, or you're whatever, for the first time, and your stomach just drops. Like, who the heck am I going to talk to? Who's going to sit by me? Like, I kind of feel that anxious feeling right now just talking about it, because I felt it so many times in my life, okay? So are you willing to notice the people who are new and go out of your way to make them feel welcome? That doesn't mean just being like, hi, my name's Marian, what's your name? Okay, nice to know ya. Here's I'm going with my friends over here, right? It's like, hey, are you new? Yeah. Where are you from? How'd you find out about youth group? You want to sit by me? When we play games, you want to be my partner? You want to come into my color group? Whatever. You don't just say hi and leave them, because then they're right back in the same position. You go out of your way to make them feel welcome. Introduce them to your friends. Help them to get to know more people. Right? I cannot explain to you how much that would help out a new person. The feeling of relief that person would feel if you're willing to do that for them. I challenge you this. If you don't believe me, if you think like, no, people coming into the youth group, like, why would they even want to talk to me? Whatever, they can find friends on their own. I challenge you to go to a youth group where you don't know anybody. So maybe you go to youth group in Overland Park one Wednesday, just to do this as a challenge. You just go to a youth group where you don't know a single person and walk in and see how it feels. There might be people who reach out to you and help you and make you feel welcome. Then you learn from that and you're like, okay, this is what they did that made me feel welcome. Maybe nobody says a word to you. And you know how it feels, and you know what you wish someone would have said to you, and you go back and you do that at our youth group. Right? It's kind of one of those things where just thinking about it, it doesn't feel that bad, but being in that situation, it's not a great feeling. Let me tell you. Okay? That can make somebody's day. That can make somebody's year if you make them feel included. Alright. The fifth one is identify and meet the needs of the leadership. and you're not gonna move. You're just gonna stay wherever you are. It's not like a thing where you can get up and go to the back or go downstairs. You're just gonna stay where you're at. Okay? This is just gonna be between you and God, but there's a couple things I want you guys to do. I want you guys to really pray and ask God to show you your heart condition. Right? I want you guys to do a heart check. Am I serving because I'm being forced to? Am I serving out of selfishness? Or can I say that I'm serving out of love? And this weekend is a great opportunity to reflect on that. You've been serving all day? Well, I assume you haven't, unless you've just been like chilling out somewhere. So check your heart. It's not always easy. Maybe you're like, come to the realization, all right, I've been serving out of selfishness. So you say, God, I'm sorry for this. Help me to change. And you spend some time kind of talking about that, processing that with God. Then once you've kind of done your heart check, I want you guys to look at the 5 ways that you can practically serve within this youth group. And I want you guys to pick one of those ways and think about some ways that you can practically live that out. You can practically do that when we go home Monday morning, or you can practically do that tonight or tomorrow. Okay? So this is just some time for you guys to reflect, to spend some time with God. Is it time to talk to your leader? Is it time to get up? Because we are going to do something after this. So just stay here, all right? So go for it.